Your phone buzzes. Without thinking, your hand moves. The screen lights up, and suddenly 20 minutes vanish. You did not plan to scroll. You did not decide to check. Your hand simply moved, as if something else was controlling it. This happens dozens of times each day. And here is what almost nobody realizes. That automatic reach is not a habit you developed. It is a response that was engineered into you, using principles discovered over 2,000 years ago. There was once a Tang Dynasty emperor named Li Shimin, known as Taizong, who ruled the most powerful empire on Earth. Every morning, hundreds of people competed for his attention. Ministers with urgent reports, advisors with conflicting counsel, messengers with news from distant provinces, courtiers seeking favor. Each believed their matter could not wait. Each demand felt critical. Yet, here's what separated Taizong from the emperors who came before him. He did something that seemed almost disrespectful to those around him. Each morning, before he would see anyone, he sat alone in complete silence. Not meditating, not praying, simply sitting, observing the state of his own mind. His advisors thought this was a waste of precious time. Enemies were gathering at the borders. The economy needed attention. Problems demanded immediate action. Yet Taizong refused to begin his day until he completed this practice. When questioned, he said something that changed how Chinese rulers thought about power. He said, "A king who does not first know the state of his own Shen will spend his entire reign being controlled by others." His advisors did not understand this at first. But decades later, they would write that this single practice was the secret to his unprecedented success. The word Taizong, used, Shen, does not translate easily. It means spirit or consciousness. But the ancient texts describe it as something more specific. Shen is the part of you that can direct attention. It is the awareness that chooses where your consciousness points. When your Shen is clear, you make decisions. When your Shen is scattered, your decisions make you. The ancient Chinese observed this truth carefully. They noticed that a person's entire life depends on what captures their Shen and what directs it. A merchant whose Shen follows every opportunity becomes scattered and poor. A scholar whose Shen stays focused on his work achieves mastery. A warrior whose Shen remains calm in battle survives. A warrior whose Shen scatters dies. It was that simple. But here is where this gets interesting. And here is what Silicon Valley discovered. The ancient texts describe something they called the gates of Shen. These are specific moments when your consciousness is most vulnerable to capture. The first gate is the morning, when you transition from sleep to waking. Your mind is open, receptive, and not yet guarded. Whatever enters your awareness in these moments sets the pattern for your entire day. The second gate is the moment of transition between activities. When you finish one task and before you begin another, your Shen looks for direction. If you do not give it direction, it will accept direction from anywhere. The third gate is the evening, as you prepare for rest. What occupies your Shen before sleep shapes what your mind processes overnight. Now, watch what happens. Silicon Valley engineers discovered these same gates, though they call them something different. They call them high engagement windows. The highest engagement time for phone use is within the first 15 minutes after waking. The second highest is during transition moments throughout the day. The third is the hour before sleep. They did not discover this through ancient texts. They discovered it through billions of hours of data, tracking exactly when people cannot resist checking their devices. Without knowing it, they rediscovered what Chinese scholars wrote about 2,000 years ago. The gates of Shen are the exact moments when tech companies strike. Think about the last time you woke up. What was the first thing you did? Most people reach for their phone while still in bed. They do not decide to do this. Their hand simply moves. In that moment, before your Shen has fully gathered itself, hundreds of notifications wait to capture it. News designed to trigger emotion. Messages crafted to demand response. Content engineered to scatter your attention across a dozen directions. By the time you stand up, your Shen has already been fragmented. The rest of your day will be spent trying to gather the pieces back together. Emperor Taizong understood something that most modern people have forgotten. He understood that guarding the gates of your Shen is not optional. It is the difference between living your life and having your life lived through you. So he created a practice. Every morning he would wake and sit in complete stillness. During this time, no one could approach him. No news could reach him. No urgent matter could interrupt him. He would simply observe his own consciousness until he felt it settle into clarity. Only then would he open the gates. Only then would he allow information, decisions, and demands to enter. This was not meditation in the way most people think of it. He was not trying to empty his mind or achieve peace. He was doing something far more practical. He was taking ownership of his Shen before anyone else could claim it. This practice had a name. It was called Nei Guan, which means inner observation. But Nei Guan is not what most people imagine. It is not about achieving some elevated state. It is simply the practice of noticing where your attention wants to go before you let it go there. You sit quietly. Within seconds, you feel the pull. The urge to check something. The sense that you should be doing something. The vague restlessness that says you are wasting time. Most people feel this pull and immediately act on it. They reach for their phone, jump into tasks, or start consuming information. But if you practice Nei Guan, you do something different. You observe the pull without acting on it. You notice the urge without obeying it. And here is what you discover when you do this. The urge is not actually you. It is a wave that passes through you. It arises, builds in intensity, then fades away. The entire cycle takes about 3 to 5 minutes if you do not react to it. This was recorded in classical texts, and modern neuroscience confirms it. Cravings, urges, and impulses follow a predictable wave pattern. They feel permanent in the moment, but they are actually quite brief. Yet most people never experience this because they respond automatically. The urge appears, and their hand is already moving. They never see the wave because they are already swept away by it. The ancient practice of Nei Guan trains you to see the wave. Once you can see it, you realize something profound. You are not the urge. You are the awareness that watches the urge. The urge says check your phone, but you, the awareness observing the urge, can choose differently. This creates a gap, a space between stimulus and response. In that gap lives your freedom. Without that gap, you are simply a reaction machine. Every notification triggers a response. Every impulse becomes an action. You are not choosing your life. You are being chosen by whatever captures your attention most effectively. Now, here is the twist that changes everything. Silicon Valley does not just understand the gates of Shen. They have industrialized the capture of it. An emperor might face a dozen advisors all day. You face tens of thousands of engineered triggers. Every app has a team whose only job is to make it more difficult for you to stop using it. They test colors, sounds, timing, placement, wording. They measure exactly how long you hesitate before opening the app. They adjust variables to reduce that hesitation by milliseconds. They are not building tools to serve you. They are building systems to harvest your Shen. And they are extraordinarily good at it because they have something emperors never faced. They have real-time data on billions of people, showing them exactly what works. This is why willpower fails. You cannot fight an industrial system with personal determination. The people designing these systems have unlimited resources, teams of behavioral scientists, and detailed maps of exactly how your consciousness responds to specific triggers. Fighting them with willpower alone is like trying to hold back a river with your hands. You might succeed for a moment, but you will eventually exhaust yourself. The water will flow through. The ancient Chinese approach was different. They did not try to fight the river. They redirected it. And they did this through a practice that seems almost too simple to work. They created what they called sovereign containers for their Shen. A sovereign container is a protected space where your consciousness cannot be captured by external demands. The morning hours were one container. The emperor's private chamber was another. Specific times for deep work were another. During these containers, the gates were closed. No messages, no interruptions, no demands. This was not about isolation. It was about creating spaces where your Shen belonged entirely to you. You can create sovereign containers right now. The first container is your waking hour. From the moment you open your eyes until you have fully arrived in your own consciousness, your Shen belongs to you alone. No phone, no news, no other people's thoughts entering your mind. Instead, you sit quietly and practice Nei Guan. You observe where your attention wants to go. You notice the urges without obeying them. You let your Shen settle into its natural clarity. This might feel uncomfortable at first. The urge to check your phone will be strong. The sense that you are wasting time will be persistent. But these are not your thoughts. They are conditioned responses, planted by thousands of hours of engineered stimulus. When you observe them without acting on them, they lose their power. The second container is transition time. Ancient scholars noticed that the space between tasks is when Shen is most vulnerable. You finish one thing, and before starting another, your hand reaches for distraction. They called this the in-between moment, and they guarded it carefully. Instead of immediately filling the space, they would pause. Take 3 breaths. Notice the state of their mind. Then, consciously choose what deserves their attention next. This takes 10 seconds, but it changes everything. It turns transitions from automatic reactions into conscious choices. The third container is the evening hour. What occupies your Shen before sleep shapes what your mind processes overnight. The ancient practice was to review your day, not with judgment, but with observation. Where did your attention go? Did it go where you chose, or where others directed it? What captured your Shen today? What should capture it tomorrow? This practice creates something rare in modern life. It creates conscious choice about attention instead of unconscious reaction to stimulus. Here is what nobody tells you about attention. The battle is not between you and your phone. The battle is between 2 versions of yourself. One version lives reactively, responding automatically to every trigger. The other version lives deliberately, choosing what deserves consciousness and what does not. Every time you practice Nei Guan, every time you observe an urge without obeying it, you strengthen the deliberate version. Every time you react automatically, you strengthen the reactive version. Over time, one of these versions becomes dominant. The question is not whether you can eliminate all distraction. The question is which version of yourself you are building with each choice. The ancient practitioners understood this. They knew the battle for Shen never ends. There will always be forces trying to capture your consciousness. This was true for emperors facing courtiers. It is true for you facing algorithms. The difference is not in eliminating the pressure. The difference is in developing the observer inside you who can see when your Shen is being pulled away and can choose to reclaim it. Here is how you begin. 1. Protect your first waking hour. Before your phone, before other people's thoughts, before demands enter your day, sit quietly and practice Nei Guan for just 5 minutes. 2. Notice the urge to check your device. Once each day, when you feel that pull, pause. Do not obey it or fight it. Simply observe it for 3 minutes and watch it fade. 3. Identify 3 things that genuinely deserve your Shen. Write them down. Make them visible. Let them guide where your attention goes. 4. Create sovereign containers. 1 hour each day when your Shen belongs only to you. During this time, the gates are closed. 5. Review your day. Each evening, notice where your attention went. Not with judgment, but with curiosity and clear sight. The sages did not fight the world's demands for their attention. They simply learned to see when their Shen was being captured and chose differently. Your consciousness is the most valuable thing you possess. Everything you build, create, or experience depends on where you point that light. Silicon Valley knows this. They have built entire industries around harvesting it. The question is not whether they will stop. The question is whether you will guard what belongs to you. You are not fighting for attention. You are remembering that your Shen was always yours to give. Write in the comments, "I guard my Shen with clear awareness." Thank you for watching.